We're going to start things off with Kylie Nielsen reading her poem, For the Neurotic. So give her some support and make her feel welcome. Okay?
Hi, I'm Kylie Nielsen. My poem is based on a book I read in my AP Lit class called James Baldwin's Giovanni's Room. So here we go. For the neurotic. Yes, that's me. Look and you'll see someone full of falsity, only hiding behind their own insecurities. There's a place within my brain that lacks a security, a pathway that connects the reality from the phony, something to protect myself from my insecurities. Do they mean that? Do they like it, like me? Where you were fuss bucket, that's what they should call me, all because of my insecurities. Panic resonates within my oh too strong imposter, fraudulent self, persona leading me astray. I feel like a fake as I begin to believe something not of reality, all caused by my insecurities. This is self-imposed, self-declared, but they shape my life, take it over, my insecurities. I call them the beast, the one that makes littles scared, the one under the bed, strongest in the night. Slowly creeping up, making you scared. But for me, it freezes my thoughts, my reality, and enlightens my insecurities. I fear of being different, although there's no true reason to be scared, pushes me away from my true identity and limits my connections. These fear of unreal pressure cause me to limit what I do. It's true. So in the end, I don't choose what I want, but the one that gives me personal security for my insecurities. Thank you.
All right, next up, Reagan reading a piece of fiction, short story.
Hi, I'm Reagan, and I'm going to be reading a narrative. And here it is. Jamin wasn't the type of boy who stood out among his 5 siblings, let alone a crowd. But to me, he did. I saw something in him no one else could, something I yearned to capture with my pencils and sketch pad from the first moment I met him. I'd hesitantly decided to take art lessons this summer. Before, I'd refused them, fearing lessons would limit me. I thought everyone would be telling me, literally, what to draw. On the contrary, lessons taught me to look beyond the literal. It's easy to draw exactly what you see, Mrs. Benstein said to me, but art isn't about recreating exactly what you see. Here, you'll learn to add things that aren't there, too. It was a difficult concept for me to learn at first. How could you possibly draw something that wasn't there? I realized what she meant when she suddenly grabbed a raspberry-colored pencil and started scribbling away at Jamin's forehead, which I had labored hours to perfect. At first, as I stared at the changing picture, all I could feel was a panicky numbness. But when she stood back from the page, I understood. Now I could see crimson in the shadow of his face, gold in the divot of his chin. I could see glacier blue in the whites of his eyes, the fire and the light on his skin. Art wasn't about copying or maintaining the integrity of an image. It was about seeing what didn't at first appear to be there. That's where the story is. The merest hints of conflict, the hidden thoughts, the smallest details. Art is about making it seen. Even if no one else could see them, I knew these stories mattered. Telling them offers a chance to connect with something more than yourself. That's why I had to draw him, to tell his story. As I sketched, I could see the pink soles of his feet kicking sprays of wet sand into the air as he outran each and every one of us, even the older kids. I remembered his honey-colored eyes cast downward shyly as he softly sang a song that most kids his age didn't listen to, the way he'd probably worked to memorize it. His sister, hand over mouth as she giggled about how he spent an hour in front of the mirror each day attempting to tame his wild shock of hair. But I saw a kid who tried his hardest to show his best self to the world while hardly anyone noticed. I saw something more because I'm the kind of person who can see a world in a boy's face. I'm the classmate, the friend, the family member who sees the little things. My drawing reminds me that there's always more to life than what you can see at first glance. That there's more to me than what you see. I was once a kid like Jamin, easy to overlook, to lose in a crowd. When you see the world differently from everyone else, it can make you feel like an outsider. It can make you feel lost. I tried to see everything I could in other people, but there wasn't always someone who could make me feel seen. I had to do that for myself. And now I'm making sure that there's someone who can help do that for Jamin, who can say, I see you. You can do great things. When I next see that boy standing there by the lake, I'll give his family the drawing. And every day that I work on the drawing, I hope that it says everything. That it will mean everything to them the way it does to me. Thank you.
All right, so I want to really thank Kylie for sharing with us her feelings of anxiety, and Reagan for talking about really being seen and seeing other people. Those are beautiful, it's just a beautiful moment. I'm going to introduce Vinny now, and Vinny Jiuditta, right?
Yep.
Is an alumnus of LHS that you may know from his days student teaching with Mr. Shinto, or from his work as an assistant football coach, or as one of our amazing wrestling coaches. How many of you know Vinny already? What you may not know about him is that he has a pretty long, albeit intermittent history as a poet. So let's give him a big round of applause. He's got a lot of energy.
Oh, thank you. Take the mic off if that's all right. So you get a little nervous coming back to talk to the kids, and especially when it's a side of you that they don't see very much. A lot of you probably don't know that I write poetry, and you're probably like, probably isn't that good, right? I mean, that's what I would think. Kind of a Joe Jock kind of guy, football, wrestling, rugby guy. So, a lot of times people don't think us athletes think as much about the social side of life and other aspects. But we do a lot of thought processing and definitely reaching out to the heartstrings. There's a lot of things in your life that you go through, and you don't always confront them, but you definitely put it into thoughts and you put it on paper sometimes, and it helps you get through a lot of things. As kids, definitely when I pulled some poetry from every aspect of my past. When I was younger, had some tough things I went through as a high school kid. Your parents break up, divorce happens, your grades go down a little bit, you change schools. I changed schools probably about 15 times. So a lot of moving through the divorces and stuff, and it's hard for kids, and it's hard to rebound and come back from that. Especially when your parents are fighting and stuff, and a lot of things are going on. Also had a lot of serious injuries in my sports past. I broke my back as a junior in high school when I was here at Libertyville, and it was very hard to come back from. But I did. And so a lot of my poetry was where I put my thoughts, my hopes, and my dreams to come back and to be a great athlete, and especially in college. And I put it away after I went through high school and I come back from my broken back. I never really talked about it again because I never wanted to be ruled out of sports. So I just didn't talk about it, and I moved on. So my first one's going to be about what I started with, because football as a young man meant everything to me. It's where I put all my time, my heart, and my effort. It's how I made friends, as a lot of you guys play sports, join clubs, so then that way you can be part of something, build with other people, emotion and feelings, and then go forward. And that's how you make friends. So I'm going to start with football, and this is one it's in my mind and my heart. I put it in college. I started it in high school, but I finished it in college. And it was actually published through a school newspaper, and it means a lot to me. But football, It's a game for heroes and goats to match. But how can you succeed? What is the latch? One day you're on the top, there's admirers all around. The next day you're on the bottom, there's not a friend to be found. It's a game of highs and lows, of which you must endure. But losing can be habit. What is the cure? Belief in yourself and always give your all. In return, you're a winner. Stand proud and tall. So I know that we had talked about questions and answers in between. I don't know if you guys have any questions maybe that are coming up in your head or in your mind that, hey, you know, how do you get through things, Coach? How did you put it on paper? What did you do? Where did you start? So if you have some questions, start putting them in your mind right now, because Mr. Reeves is going to help me out with a microphone, and we're going to just kind of break down a little bit at a time. Then that way it's not you got to sit there and just listen to me roll. You know what I'm saying? So you can ask some questions maybe. Is that okay? Cool. Shake your head if you're with me. All right. I got about half of you. How about the other half? Yeah, all right. We're getting there. All right. I'll do one more poem just to kind of get us rolling. They're not all committed to memory. And sometimes we go through times where we stop writing or we stop doing some of the things that we really love because commitments and so many other things get rolling. And so on my search for my master's degree, my second bachelor's degree, and being ready to teach and get ready for you guys, because I really want to be with kids the rest of my life. I did sales for 27 years. I sold everything you could think of under the sun, and I was good at it. But my love wasn't there. My love has always been with athletes and coaching and teaching. So that's why at midlife, 50 years old, this guy went back to school and go, I'm gonna get a master's degree, which is pretty hard to do while you're working a full-time job and everything else in life that goes on. But I do it because I love the kids, man. That's I think why we all teach, not because we're gonna get rich and famous, I'm pretty sure. But the kids inspired me. I was doing my student teaching in Mr. Shinto's class, and Mr. Gustafson, Mr. Boys, and KG, which we all know, they were in my weightlifting class. And I got to tell you the background of the story because it's really funny. They're sitting there, and Boys goes, "Hey, KG, show them knowledge is power." So I got KG on the bench, and he's throwing up like 2 1/4. He's throwing it up. He goes, "See, that's power, Coach." Oh, that's cool. Good job, buddy. And Boys is sitting out doing all kinds of lines of history. And so he's speaking all kinds of history. So knowledge is power, Coach. You see that? And I was like, that's pretty funny. That's pretty good. So I go, tomorrow I got one for you. And they go, all right. And they're kind of looking at me kind of like, what? What's that guy talking about? So I wrote this. Knowledge is power, said the wise man to the man who was rich. The rich man said, not true, my friend. Power is wealth, and that is my niche. Contrary, the wise man said, the rich men take from the poor, and the wise take from the rich. It's a simple process that truly does exist. The rich man said with a grin, my money says I can manipulate, demonstrate, irrigate, alleviate, interrogate, and exterminate my foe. Because no matter how smart you are, you're not living when you're 6 feet below. The wise man rebutted, I'm too smart for all that. And then the rich man said, so was Lincoln, Malcolm X, and JFK. Where are they at? The lesson is to outsmart, outwit, and outgive. Be good to others. Give from your heart and your soul. Then even in death, you will truly live. Any questions yet?
All right, anyone have questions? All right, I'm gonna pass this down.
When did you start writing poetry?
I started writing in high school. I was a freshman, and I was in California. When I was living in California, I was in the Bay Area. My dad had moved out there for more work, so my parents separated, moved to California. It's a little long-winded answer, but it's serious and to the heart. And so I was out there, and rap became the newest, coolest thing. And I know it's been around for a long time now, Coach, right? I get you. But then it was funky fresh. And the Run DMC was real big, and the Beastie Boys. And I know that I'm looking at the teachers shaking their head. That was our day and age, our era. And I was like, oh yeah, the Beasties, I'm gonna be a rap star. So it was Vinny J. I was Vinny J. You put me on the mic, I could go all day. You want to battle me? I say no way. You step to me, it's the end of your day. Oh, so and yeah, so it was fun. It was fun. And after that, it was like, oh man, everybody was beatboxing, and I'm like, what's that? And so everybody's got a big guy in the crowd who's like. So it was in the background. It was a lot of fun, right? So everybody's smiling, everybody's always laughing. So I was like, I'm gonna do rap. That's what I'm gonna do. So I started writing rhyme, and that's how I got on this track. Now I never did the rap career, you can tell, obviously. But flip side of the coin, I did write a lot of poetry, and in college I really got after it. I wrote probably maybe about 30, 40 poems, I think, in high school, which they were all kind of starting. There wasn't too much imagery. I was really into rhyme. And when I got into college, I'm like, oh man, I'm gonna do some cool things with rhyme. And I really got shot down pretty bad. I had a teacher that wrote his own book, and it was all about imagery, deep, dark stuff. And I was like, I wasn't deep and dark, I was kind of like the happy-go-lucky man. I want to always like go for the win, I always want to be happy, I want to fire it up, I want to get going, you know what I'm saying? And this guy really wanted dark stuff. So I kind of wrote a couple of dark poems, like, were real shady, and I didn't like it. And he gave me A's on it. So sometimes you're kind of combining what you believe to do what you need to do to get through, but then I didn't like the poetry I was writing. And I got mad at myself. I'm like, I'm not bending to that. That's not who I am. So I started writing my rhyme and verse again and getting back on track to what I liked. I got a C in the class. I didn't get many C's in school, but that was one of them. And I was very upset about it. However, I did what I believed was right in my heart. And you got to stick to your guns and to your heart when you're doing things that is about you. So that's a lesson for life. That's not just about school. That's not just about friendships, about life, everything. So stick to your guns and follow your heart. Cool. Thank you for that question. Sorry to expand so much. I'll give you another one here. Obviously, I coach a lot of sports here. Football and wrestling are kind of the big ones that I coach right now when we have started a rugby club also. But I get a lot of the coaches are always firing everybody up and like, hey, we got to get going. We got to get more in the weight room. We got to do this. We got to do that. So, and a lot of you athletes understand that. And it was said to me by one of our coaches, we need to be the victor, not the victim. And I got something for that. And that was Coach Shaq. And so I said, be the victor, not the victim. Be the victor, not the victim. What does it really mean? It's how you attack your goals and your dreams. If you fail to prepare, then you prepare to fail. That rings in the air. You must put in the work for the results you desire. Do you really care? All of my life I've heard, you have to believe to achieve. But these are empty words if your heart and your mind deceive. No one can believe in you more than you. Others won't anyways, because that's what naysayers do. All my life I've been told you're too small, you're not fast enough, you're not strong enough. But one thing you can't measure is the heart in a person. And when it comes to that, I got more than enough. Victory is hard work that is done. Stop complaining and crying and get the job done. Realize the fact, most of all, never, can't, won't, not going to, give up, not in my vocabulary. For these words, I don't fall. So I ask you, stand and commit with your mind and your heart. Because if you can do this, the winning truly can start. Commit, in it to win it. Go Wildcats. Any other questions yet?
I just want to say, Vinny, I'm really glad you're writing happy poetry again, because it's really inspiring and really firing us up. And not only are you writing it, but you're sharing it with us all. This is awesome.
Thank you.
Who's got a question?
What's your favorite poem that you've ever read or written?
Ooh, that's tough. I know a lot of Robert Frost stuff when I was in high school and stuff. As I got older, again, I listened to tons of rap and rhyme. So I think that's kind of what I adapted more to than writers just going out and reading tons of writers. I think Eminem does a pretty good job. I like Run DMC quite a bit. I think the biggest thing I liked was it used to be clean and fun, rap, when it first came out. And I think that was why I loved it so much. And now it's gotten really off the edge, and everybody's, maiming, shooting, killing, robbing. That's not what it was about when it started. That shouldn't be what it's about now. And it's too bad because I think it really hurts rap overall in my heart and my mind. Because it's supposed to be about something that brings people up. I mean, everybody lives through crises. Everybody goes through bad things. Okay? But when we sit there and we dwell on it, we go downward. I realized, man, breaking your back, like for me as a junior in high school, was one of the hardest things I ever went through. I had kids that made fun of me, tore me up. I couldn't play. I'm sitting on the bench watching guys play in a sport that I know I can excel. It was one of the hardest things I ever did. And the only way I could do it was to mentally get right and come back. And so I know I went off track there a little bit, but I think the most inspirational thing is music kind of brought me back into, the rap and the rhyme kind of brought me back into sports, got me going again, and made me believe in myself. So I know that went a little off track. My favorite poet is me, because I'm serious. So you don't love your own work, who's gonna love it? That's facts, all right? Right? True story, all glory. Here's one that I wrote. We had a guy that worked his tail off in wrestling. He ended up being our state champ this year, Cole Medalenko. And sometimes as an athlete, you go through all this and you don't really think about it. And, you break down, things go wrong, injuries happen, grades go down, you break up with your girlfriend or your boyfriend or whatever it may be, things go sour. But you got to get back on the horse, you got to get back up and get going again. So this is a little bit about what he went through. The perfect season, be a state champ. The perfect season, what does it really mean? It means you work hard every day, not just on the ones that you're seeing. You fight through your every nagging injury, no matter the pain. Ice, treat, therapy, tape, a bandage for the brain. You lift, you condition, you compete, and you exhaust. The body and the mind, it can be grueling at times, but you must pay the cost. You push beyond your known limits. Far is how far you are willing to try. At times we break down and get back up after a hard internal cry. Mistakes are made, but strive for perfection, that is the goal. The perfect season's a marathon, rise from every fall. The intense focus, domination through determination, it's what needs to be done. Now is the time. Rise up, go achieve, and make believers of everyone. Because in the end, the winner is you. Did you make the gains? Did you embrace the pains? Did you face the names? Did you light it up in flames? You're the champ who reigns. The perfect season is the best that you can do. Go be a state champ. Inspired by Cole Medalenko, with a perseverance to be a state champ.
So I'll share this with you guys real quick. Besides being English department supervisor, I'm the faculty advisor of DOI. And our next issue of DOI has a 3-page spread on Anna Beckert and Cole Medalenko, our state champions. Stories full of all these great quotes and stories that they share and things coaches say. So just piggybacking off of that, Vinny. Any other questions for Vinny?
Nothing.
All right.
Would you ever consider becoming an English teacher?
It's funny that you actually asked that, because I do have an English minor, and I have to take the content test for the state of Illinois in order to teach English. And yes, I have thought about it quite a bit. I know that they sit home and grade a lot of papers for long hours, and grammatically, I'm pretty good, but they're way above me on the grammatical side of things, and I think that's kind of the hardest part is you never want to make a mistake, for me, teaching a kid because he's going to college, so you want to make sure that you don't make any grammatical errors or miss something, that a sentence structure, things like that, and I think that's the toughest thing. I don't know. Teachers, is that the toughest thing?
No, you'd be fine. You'd be fine.
I stress about things like that. What do you think, Mr. Reeve?
I think you'd be an awesome teacher in just about anything. Yeah. You're
Wow, that's cool of you to say that. I appreciate that.
great. Seriously.
Thank you. Those are huge compliments, and I really appreciate it.
It's way more than grammar. It's inspiring. It's getting kids to want to write things from their heart, and you could do that for sure.
Wow, that's cool. It's tough when you get older and you change streams of what you're doing in life as a profession. And believe me, it was freaky, it's scary, and it kind of stinks sometimes. And, sometimes you're like, I'm doing all this work, am I going to have a job? So I'm right there in that boat right now. I feel like I'm swimming around with no paddles, and I want to be here. I want to be at Libertyville. This is where my heart's at. My soul is here. I graduated from high school here. I've learned from all my teachers here, my coaches, and I want to give that back to you guys. So maybe we'll see. I want to be here. Maybe you find different avenues for me. I don't know. Hey, if you got to start at the janitor level, I'll do that too, man, whatever it takes. So, flip side of the coin. I got a couple of them that aren't always positive, but they end up positive. And so you got to see that side too. And I know that sometimes we fight with our family, our moms and dads, and that stinks because we don't want to fight with our family. We want to grow and have good times with them and not see the bad stuff, but sometimes that happens too at home. So I got this one I'm going to share with you. Family fight. As we fight like cats in the night, wondering which will scratch and what will bite, trying to figure out the other's next move, who's the victor and who will lose. Wounds go all so deep, which in essence are from the fight, as they look upon their wounds and the other dances in joyous delight. But the one more question is at hand. Was it worth the pain and the scars to be the leader of the band? This family thing, I just can't understand. Any questions yet?
Okay. Do we throw another question?
Got one?
Hey, Vinny?
Bueller, old movie.
Well, I'll say, Vinny, I think you'd be a good teacher because you connect with kids and you're very authentic. And the other stuff about learning skills and strategies, that can come. But you're either born with the human nature where you connect with people or it's hard to teach that. So keep pursuing that dream.
Thank you.
Anybody else have a question?
Come on. Where's all my athletes?
Besides, do you still listen to the old school rap? And besides that,
I do.
What other music do you listen to?
I listen to everything. I like this country you like at times. Some great country songs. There's some great rock songs. I mean, we're 80s rock, man, 90s rock. There's some great tunes, you know. Leonard Skinner, you get into some Leonard Skinner, maybe from your parents. You got the Jim Morrison, the Doors. I mean, you know, bring on to the other side, right? It's good stuff, right? A lot of fun. And then, you know, go into the oldies, you know, sitting on the dock of the bay, wasting time. So, you know, you have a little fun with it, right? There's a lot of things that we connect with and a lot of things that tie us to our parents. Isn't that fun? I mean, when you're tied with your parents and like you get some and you're like, hey, that song comes on the radio and it kind of draws you closer to your parents, that's cool because you're kind of living life together. I mean, I think that's really big. No? Yes? Maybe? Shake your head if you agree a little bit. That kind of brings your parents together. How many of you guys listen to 80s rock? Come on, there's got to be some rock stars out there, right? Cool. How about some country? You got some country? Right? You gotta have a little Kenny Rogers, man, right? The coward of the county? Come on. Everybody's a gambler. You gotta know when to hold them. Come on, everybody knows that song, don't they? No? Charlie Daniels Band? That went down to Georgia, he was looking for soul to steal. He was about his way behind, he was looking to make a deal. He came across this young girl, saw him playing Fiddle Hot, and he jumped up on her, hit herself, and said, boy, I'm gonna tell you what. No, you don't hear that? Nobody heard that? That was one of the first rhymes they ever learned. That's true. But I'll give you one more, because, you know, friends is what you need in life. I don't care who you are, what age level you're at. You go through some hard times, and you need friends. So this one's about friends. A friend is a person who'll always be there. A person in need, somebody that cares. Somebody you can count on to be on your side when it comes to the end of your ride. You need support like a baby at birth. But do you value your friendships? What are they worth? A friend is a person who'll always be around when your parents divorce and your school grades go down. Friends are there when you need them in your time of grief, and no matter how bad it looks, they won't retreat. Friends are great people and you need them the most, but how do you find them? Go coast to coast? I hope I always have a friend to stand by me, because standing alone, you'll drown out at sea. I got one more for you that I'll read, and then we'll just do questions and answers for the remaining 7-8 minutes. So there's times that you get a teacher that is really tough to get anything going with. And I took a college course, philosophy. And I thought, geez, philosophy, man, I should learn how to analyze and think about things. And, you know, hey, my opinion, your opinion, right? You think that's what philosophy is, educated guess, hypothesis. You know, oh, you think this, I think that. Is the glass half full, is the glass half empty? So you're like, oh man, I could get into that. You know, get your brain thinking, right? Okay, not so much. All right. A Difference of Thought is the name of this. And I'll give you a little background. His name was Dr. Wu, created his own book, was a Yale graduate, and was probably one of the smartest men I've ever met, but did not like. So, true story, sometimes that happens. I am not a Yale graduate. I don't even get straight A's. But I worked like a lumberjack on a philosophy test yesterday. The professor wrote a book on philosophy, his opinion, the fact. But isn't philosophy the study of theoretical basis? Can't you ride your own track? A philosophy, a hypothesis, an educated guess. Can you have your own? Apparently not. How could I have known? I read all the reading and I summarized it all. But on this exam, my grades sure did fall. I received an F. An F. And it ripped me apart. It destroyed my brain and it diced up my heart. Hard. I worked hard and needed for anything in life that is good. But why chop a tree if you don't need the wood? Why drink the water if you have no thirst? Can you see how I was feeling? Absolutely the worst. How can you score a 0 when you did all the work? After all that studying and failing, that kid lost his perk. Well, the story is over. My philosophy, A Difference of Thought, crushed by this teacher. But I will right this rot, but not teach what I have been taught. All right, I've been throwing out a lot of mumbo jumbo up here. Anybody got any questions for me? What you got? Oh, he's gonna come with the mic. Mr. Reeves, go ahead, you can tell me.
Who wrote the best poetry out of Teddy, Will Boyce, and KG?
Ooh, that's a good one. I don't know, they all came with a good one. Gustafson came with a really good one. Yeah, he threw a really good one at me. I have it written down, and it was to the heart. I'm a big heart guy because, you know, again, I wasn't always the biggest, strongest, fastest. I know I'm pretty big and strong now, but I wasn't always the biggest, strongest, fastest guy. And so a lot of times everything was about heart for me. That's what made me shine throughout other things that I did. Even in class, you know, I always gave everything I had in my heart. So for you, and I don't care what you're doing, put your heart into things and good things will come out. So that's kind of what I'm about. Cool. Anything else? Questions? Nothing?
I'll ask something over here.
Yeah.
I don't know if any of you happen to watch you probably don't, because why would you? But our board meetings are all recorded. And 2 board meetings ago, he got up there and told the story of Cole winning state. And it was the most amazing and riveting 10 minutes of my life, just listening to you tell this story. And it strikes me when you say that you had, you broke your back and people were making fun of you and you were picked on, but you're one of the most confident people I've seen speak in front of a crowd. So many of these kids out here struggle with confidence. Where can they find it? Where do you find yours? How did they get that?
First of all, thank you for the compliments. That's really nice. It's kind of a funny thing about that is I was told I was just going to introduce our wrestlers' names, and then I got told, hey, you're telling the story, and then it was embellishing the story and make sure it's got every fact in there, and I was like, what? So you talk about confidence. I wasn't very confident at that time because I didn't prep anything, so I spoke from my heart. One of the biggest things I think that you can do is communicate with people no matter what you're doing, because anything you do in life, you're gonna have to communicate. I mean, talk to people, just start going out and making friends. I moved like 15, 20 times when I was a kid. I think that was the hardest thing. I'm in a new school all the time, and you're always like the new guy that everybody wants to beat up, really, to be honest. They wanna make fun of you, push you down, knock you down, and I was like, no, that ain't happening. Getting to back to your point, I'm sorry, I get sidetracked a little, sometimes I get excited. I think the biggest way you can do it is grab a mic, grab a brush at home, start talking to yourself in the mirror. It sounds silly, but talk and communicate with yourself, and that's how you start building skills. I was always grabbing a hairbrush at home and singing. It's a true story as a little kid. You know, how many of you guys did that out there, right? You grab a brush, start singing, you didn't do it, come on. You don't want to be on a mic? Everybody wants to be on a mic once in a while, right? Cool. But that's one way it starts. The next thing is to start communicating with your friends and your parents. Talk to them. You know, the more you talk and you learn to communicate, the better your whole life is going to become. It's not just about school, it's about everything you do. You need to talk to people, relationships. You need to talk to the person that you're involved with, or your friends, or your parents. Know what's going on. Talk. That's the best way to do it. That's the best way to get rolling. By playing on your phone, you ain't getting much done. I realize that you get some good technical skills from that, because I can't go around a phone and text as fast as you guys can. I'm telling you, you guys are good. But flip side of the coin, I can also talk and communicate with you, and that's a really important part of the rest of your life, because it's not all going to be by phones. It's going to be by talking to people, especially if you want solid relationships. You need to know what the other person's thinking. Me and my wife constantly, she's like, communication, you got to communicate. Like, let's talk, all right? Sometimes I get a little fired up. I'm an intense guy. Sometimes that happens. I got to cool down, slow down. You know what I mean? That happens too. So it's a big part of communicating is slowing down and hearing the other person too. So, cool. What else? You guys got to have some good stuff for me. Questions? No, there you go. You know, got a question. All right.
So I know you were previously in sales. Was there like anything specific that made you be like, I need to make this change for myself?
I'll tell you what, definitely when you sell a lot of stuff and you're making the company that you work for a ton of money, it's pretty exciting, right? And you're always promised all this money you're gonna make and all this good stuff. Well, a lot of times they don't deliver on the other end of things. My relationships with my customers was really strong all the time because I was fair and I was honest. In sales, there's always hiccups on margins. They're always trying to make money. I mean, that's part of the game, but you can be fair and honest about how you do it. And I think that a lot of people lose that along the way, the fair and honesty part, and it's all about money. And when everything becomes about money in your life, it's only money, you're losing all the values that you really have in your heart and then should have with other people. And so I guess that's the biggest reason why I stopped doing sales, even though I was successful at multiple companies, Fortune 100 companies. And it was more that they cheated me at the end of the day, which is really upsetting. When you make a lot of money and they don't want to pay you. But they all have contracts of 42 pages. And in page 36, subline 7, I think it was letter A, Roman numeral 2, said if you bring in the big fish, we don't have to pay you, which means if you bring in a big client for a lot of money, we really don't have to pay you. And when you get that contract, you start realizing, maybe I'm doing the wrong thing. So everything ain't about money in life. It's about people and the relationships you make, because when you die, they're not going to say how much money you have. They're going to say how many friends came to see you, how many friends that you had, and how good a life did you live with the people that were around you. And I think that's way more important than any money you can give. It always pays your bills. I ain't going to lie to you. We all got to pay our bills. But I think that's kind of why I switched streams at 50 years old. Kind of crazy, I know. But cool. Good question.
So we got about 4 minutes. If anybody has a question. The window's closing.
Have you ever made a poem out of golf?
Poem out of what?
Golf?
No, but I could. It would take me roughly about 7 to 10 minutes. Average poem takes me 7 to 10 minutes. I would definitely do one for you. So before you leave, give me your information and I'll get one to you, I promise. So I like to deliver. If anybody else has got some of their things they want to talk about, I'm more than happy to give. Any other questions? Nothing from my wrestlers too and football players. Unbelievable. TP, nothing?
I had one and you answered it.
Oh, okay. Rocco, nothing?
Same thing. You already answered my question.
Okay, fair enough. That was the only thing I was going to try to end with. What's that? The only thing I was going to try to end with was putting a rhyme together and getting the crowd involvement. I don't know if you guys ever tried to do something like that. It may be a little hard, but can we try it? All right, so let's talk about school. So I'm in the auditorium, chilling with the students. We're all hanging out. Things are looking good. What do you got? Give me a rhyme. Something to it. Things are looking good. Nothing? What do you got?
Coach Vinny's on the stage. He's shouting out his poems. Things are going great, exactly as they should.
Nice. I like it. He's quick on his feet. Second verse, not the same as the first. Okay. So, everybody comes to class because they all want to pass. working really hard and kicking some. But let me say this, I'm glad you all showed up today, because one thing's for sure,
Spring break.
all victims are slain. Okay, true. All glory, big story, right? Let's try one more. Okay, the period's about to end. I'm glad you all came today. I didn't do this for money. I will get no pay. But it's the heart that I came for and what I display. So I say thank you to all of you. And have a great day. Nice. Thank you guys, I appreciate you. Thanks for listening to my poetry. My golf guy, make sure you come up so I can get your information. Thanks guys.